Hey everyone, welcome back to Between Two Ferns with Mark Loeffler and Russell Westcott. I'd like to welcome Russell all the way in from Vancouver.
Well, cheers, Mark.
Just flew in this morning.
Yeah, you can make a good cup of coffee here, my friend.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And today we're going to be discussing about what should everyone be doing in this market. If you own properties, if you don't own properties, what should you be doing? And I just have to say that Russell was right. That you he called it in 2021. He said, Ontario, be careful, maybe divest some properties, watch out for bubble, maybe look in other areas. And I listened to Russell, and look, I'm doing okay out in Edmonton.
Wow. First of all, Mark, thanks for the opportunity. I'm a little nervous here. I'm honored to be in the Mark Loeffler Experience, the hallowed halls of the video experience, and you've just been doing such an amazing job on your YouTube channel and everything that you're putting out, and I just wanted to be part of it. Just hang out in the brilliance of the Mark Loeffler Experience.
All right, now the fluff is all done.
Now we won't be able to. We'll have to change the door jamb in order to get out of here.
Yeah. You're knowledgeable on Ontario, Alberta, BC, right? I don't know about the other markets so much, but if you were in Ontario right now, what would you do? Because I know you have coaching clients in Ontario, so you have the pulse of Ontario right now. What are you thinking?
The best way I'm helping people almost on a daily basis is, first of all, let's just take a big deep breath. Like, honest to goodness, all of us, there's a lot of craziness. Yes, there's a lot of change that's happening. There's a lot of mixed messages that are happening. So first and foremost, hug your spouse, pet your dog, do some yoga, go out for a run, do something just to chill for a minute, right? Mm-hmm. And then once you've had that moment to just chill, let's just pragmatically just kind of look at it from a standpoint. The lenses that I get people to look at it is there's a short term, there's a medium term, and then there's a long term.
Yeah.
And if we're specifically talking about Ontario right now in different markets, each market is different. On a short-term basis, it's not pretty. It is really not pretty right now. There's an awful lot of pre-sales and developers and rising interest rates. When rising interest rates are going the pace that they've been going, it has an impact on everybody. And you can't not feel it.
Yeah.
Right? So there's a ripple that's happening. So let's just get through the short term.
Yeah.
Manage your cash flow, right? Manage everything. Just strategically look at your portfolio on a day-to-day basis almost now.
So now might be the time to sell some dogs.
Oh, absolutely. Well, the best time to sell some dogs was probably a year ago, but...
Well, no, it was January, February, But they weren't dogs then. They were going up at 10% a month, and everyone thought, oh, this is the best thing ever. And, I mean, I know you experienced it in 05, 06, 07 out in Alberta, where, there were people, I heard it rain, that kept their property vacant for a year.
Yeah.
So they could have this is my return after keeping a property vacant for a year. And I'm like, that's the stupidest thing ever. I could have just told you what your return would have been, and you could have cash flow.
Yeah, in hopes that it would go up in value and fix it. I had an analogy a good friend of mine once shared is, you sit there, you could sit there and you have this, you're single, you're bachelor forever, and you had your favorite couch. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden you're now commingling, and you couldn't take this couch to the new place, but you couldn't get rid of your favorite couch. So you put it in storage for a year. And then a year goes by, you paid storage for the whole year, and then you ended up selling it for next to nothing a year later.
Yep.
Right, so that's an analogy I use. And so here's the things. I understand what's going on in the marketplace because I've been through it, like you said, 2007, 2008. Markets in Alberta at that time were going up astronomical. They were like 50% year over year, going up forever. Everybody is walking into a conference going, look at me, I just made $100,000 in 6 months. I did nothing. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden things turned. The music stopped playing.
And you found out who the real investors were. and you saw who was swimming naked.
Well, and I was very naked at that time. As a matter of fact, I wasn't just naked. I actually doubled down and added another 40 properties. If you've owned a property in the Ontario marketplace for the last 3 years, you probably legitimately have doubled your money.
Oh, yeah, easily.
Legitimately.
Yep.
And it is okay that... in January, February of this year, it probably would have sold for maybe $100,000 more. That's still okay.
I would say 200,000.
Maybe 200, maybe 250.
300.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a couple examples of we had them listed in January or February. and we had offers on them, and they both came in around 1.25 million,
Yeah.
and both sold for $200,000 less, like in June or July.
Yeah.
And that's June or July, and we're down since then.
Right. Well, I'll give you a real life example. So I'm working with some clients out this way. They have a property up in the Simcoe Shores area, and they've owned it. It's gone up, ridiculous amount of money. It outstripped, let's put it this way, the price escalation outstripped the economic fundamentals.
Yep.
Like without question, it outstripped that. So they're now sitting there looking at it. They have this property that is probably under rented by $600 a month.
Yep.
They can't raise their rents.
Nope.
They've tried to negotiate with the tenants. They can't change any of the use to it to add any more value to it.
Yep.
So they took it and they put it on the market. They priced it appropriately. They've had to adjust it a couple times. They've now had 2 offers that came in. They took one. They made a couple hundred, I think 200, 300,000 bucks. They're taking all that money, paying off their personal residence, eliminating their mortgage payment. So they just had a big giant cash flow increase. And then they had all that money redeployed back into as a line of credit. And now they're taking that money and moving it into the Alberta marketplace. And now they're getting it on a bottom of a cycle. It has a better chance of cash flowing. They can raise their rents. There's no land transfer taxes, all kind of stuff like that. So that's just one example.
I mean, Alberta is good. Obviously, I'm investing out there, but one of my biggest fears is that it's not like the Ontario market where we have a housing shortage. It's just plain and simple. We do. More immigration is going to come in, and people are moving out of Ontario, but more people are moving in.
Yep.
And they're not building enough houses here.
Yes.
Alberta, that's not the case. If there's a boom, any 2-bit developer could put up properties within 2 to 6 months.
Yeah. And that's 100% true.
Yeah.
But you just hit on a point. So back to when I was talking about short-term, medium-term, long-term, I have a great hope for the Ontario marketplace still. And the great hope that I have is, whether he's still in power or not, Mr. Doug Ford just came and just dumped a whole bunch more fish into the pond by changing density rules a little bit.
Yeah, I'm hopeful for that.
Yep.
I mean, have you ever tried to take power away from a politician?
Oh, it's just a different person comes along.
I'm just gonna put that in,
Yep.
and that's could be my caveat on that.
Yep.
But anyways, I agree on that front. So we do need more housing.
Yeah, especially if you own a property that has underutilized land. That's a good opportunity.
Yeah, 100%. Like putting a garden suite on, or taking out development charges if I want to turn a single family home into a triplex. Obviously, I think we need more medium walk-ups. Like this is or walk-ups are just like 5-6 story properties, even if they have an elevator. That's all over Alberta right now, or Edmonton at least right now, Calgary too. And that's what they're building, right? Because it's cheaper. They can build stick built and it works. But yeah, I think we're digressing from the original point. So short term, you're leery of
short term,
Ontario.
I'm very nervous. Batten down the hatches, gang. Do what you got to do to get through this. Is really, and
this is funny.
Yeah.
Because I would do flips in today's market in Ontario. I'm looking for flips right now.
They're looking to acquire something at dirt cheap prices. Pennies on the
I'm looking to buy something, add some value, and sell it in today's market. That's what I'm looking to do. Obviously, I'm going to buy it right.
Yeah.
If I can buy it right, I'm happy.
Yeah.
I'm looking to acquire long-term apartment buildings here too.
Yeah.
But here's the thing with commercial in Ontario, it didn't see that huge run-up in prices. Right? Like it basically said to the residential market, you're nuts.
Yeah.
So it hasn't seen a big fall off either. It has come down a little bit, but not huge, not especially for how high interest rates are.
Yeah.
So if I want to buy a fixer-upper apartment building, I'm still 3.5, 3.25, 3.5 cap.
Yeah.
But I have 100%, 150% raise in rents on turnover. So.
Well, I have a client out who's buying still apartment buildings in the Tri-City areas in Kitchener, and he's got a 16-unit apartment building. And he potentially paid today's numbers, but the big value play for him is he's buying it at they're about $800 to $1,100 rentals right now, and he legitimately in 3 years can double the rents.
More than that.
In 3 years or less.
Yeah.
So he's sitting there looking at, I legitimately can more than double this investment in a short period of time, and he's doubling down. And he's actually, I worked with him, and I said, so here's your branding that you want to do. Is while everybody else is running for the hills, you're the last one standing still buying Ontario properties, and there's a lot of investors that still want to buy Ontario. They don't want to go to Florida. They don't want to go to Alberta. They want to buy close to home.
There's still a ton of buyers out here. That's why they're not going. That's why prices aren't going down that much.
Well, it's sticky. It's really sticky. Because here's the thing is, and you're seeing it already. You're a realtor. You know, you're on top of the numbers. When prices start going down, somebody who listed their price at an astronomical price, hoping they'd get it, they get to say, "Oh, I'm not going to get it," so they'll just take it off the market.
Yep.
Right now, there's probably less listings on the marketplace than there wasn't, for 2007, 2008 during a crash.
I haven't gone back to 2007, 2008, but if you watched my video last Monday, then you would have saw, that we have less listings now than we had 2 years ago or 3 years ago.
And it was tight then.
In a more normal market. 3 years ago, 2019 wasn't that tight, right?
Okay.
But we had more listings then than we have now.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously we have way more listings than we had last year because the market was just stupid tight because there were so many buyers.
Yeah, so back to our original conversation, and then we are going to come back to on Alberta. Short term, then the medium term is that there are some changes that play to release some housing inventory. So I have some hope that it's going to be backstopped, that a fall won't happen too far. It's going to catch its footing and then it's going to start going again. More supplies being released. The other is we still have, whether we agree or disagree, we still have current governments that are opening up the floodgate to immigration. Mm-hmm. And Canada is a safe haven in a world population. People, when you're having troubles in Europe and you can't heat or wherever, and you want to know where to go where there's a nice safe haven, Canada is very open. And to maybe go too far is almost too friendly in some cases.
I mean, here's the thing: you're not going to get shot.
Yeah.
You're not going to get robbed. Typically, right? Like it's one of those things where you can basically come in and move and. Yeah, you like if you're wealthy somewhere else, maybe you need security.
Yeah.
Right? But you come to Canada and it's like, oh, you're just an average Joe.
Yeah.
Nobody knows, nobody cares. But yeah, so I guess short term you're pessimistic on Ontario.
Yeah. Medium term, it's going to keep going down until it catches its footing.
Yeah, I think it
could be close.
I think we're close.
Yeah.
I think we have another. I think spring market's going to come and at least level off.
Yeah.
And then medium term,
I'm hopeful.
Yeah.
Which is sometimes a bad thing, but I'm hopeful because some of the changes that are decisions. Let's be honest. Some of these things that are being announced now should have been announced 3-4 years ago, or longer.
It's better for investors if they don't include those new housing.
Yeah. It is because it keeps supply low, especially if you own a property. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, adding densification to be able to add more units is good for cash flow to be able to absorb.
It also helps investors because because the land value goes up.
Yes, it does.
Right, because you make the land more valuable. So short term, you're saying, hey, if you're out there and you're buying in Ontario, look for deals that you can add value to.
Yep.
If you're buying an apartment building, which I'd love to buy right now in Ontario, if I can find the right one at the price I want to pay, then I can double, triple rents over whatever time.
I'll give a couple things from some conversations I've recently had. So some investors, everybody always says, well, I want to crash and I want prices to come down, then I'm going to get in. 95% of those people still won't do anything, even if the market goes down.
99.9%.
Right? Even more. Okay.
Because then they're waiting for the bottom, and then the bottom
comes, and then it goes.
Because you don't know until 3 months later.
Okay, so if it comes down to what you believe is happening, if you believe the market is going down another 20, 30%, go out there right now, be aggressive. Price that into your offer right now, and see what the seller will say. Most of them will probably say, "Go pound sand."
Yeah.
Some might say yes. You never know.
Yeah.
Right. Price it in right now, and if you can pick up a property, another 20 or 30% discount from what it's gone down to right now, I think here's the analogy I would use. 2 years ago, if somebody told you could have bought a duplex in Hamilton for $850,000, you would sit there. I would have bought 4 of them.
Yep.
Right now, nice duplexes in Hamilton are probably close to that price now.
750 to 800.
Or even less. Mm-hmm. The rents haven't come down. The rents has actually gone up significantly. So arguably speaking, that is a better investment opportunity today than it was then. notwithstanding that the interest rates have gone up, but it should be, it should,
Well,
the cash flows will be fairly similar.
And your return is going to be better because you're going to have less cash in.
Less cash in. So you have an opportunity to get into an opportunity right now.
Yeah. And I say that all the time right now. If you're looking in Ontario, find cash flowing properties.
Yeah.
Because if they go down in value, they say they went down another 10%.
Yeah.
But you're cash flowing, who cares? It'll come back at some point, and you're going to cash flow. You're going to pay down the mortgage, and especially if you're going to add value to a property, and if you're going to do a BRRRR, maybe you have multiple exit strategies. So maybe one's to BRRRR it to refinance, maybe one's to flip it to sell to the market, and maybe one's just to hold on to it long term, right? But that's what I'm looking at even in the flips is like, what are my multiple exit strategies? Can I short term rent it? Can I do a long term rental? What can I do if the market does turn on me enough that, okay, it's not a viable flip anymore?
And here's usually what happens is most people, and when I say most people, I'm gonna look at myself in a mirror. I did the exact same thing. I and most people do the exact opposite of what you should be doing. A lot of people were doubling down, adding properties during a rapid appreciation when it was getting close to a peak. We didn't know it was a peak now. 6 months later, a year later, we can tell it was.
I had a feeling.
I 100%. But
January,
most people
February.
were just going gangbusters now. And now when they should be probably really being vigilant to dive in more, they're doing the opposite. Again.
They get scared.
They get scared, absolutely. So what I'm trying to say is there are opportunities if you pay attention. If you follow Mark Loeffler's channel on YouTube, you will find that there is always an opportunity for that. What you just do is markets change, markets pivot. You just change your tactics and your strategies.
Yep.
Really.
That's it.
Comes down to it.
Actually, I just do the same thing in different markets.
Just so you're the path of least resistance guy. You've got a model that works, and you just pick it up and move it to a different place that the next cycle is happening.
And honestly, obviously I bought out in Alberta. We closed last April on Don's building.
Yeah.
So it's been a year and a half now, and I think it's been going pretty good for us out there. Rents
Are you getting the rents that you were thinking that you would, or
better now?
Nice.
Yeah, because at the beginning we weren't. But rents have gone up $100 to $150 a unit there over the last 6 months, right? So.
Well, something I want to share with you, and it's something you said earlier. I 100% agree about in Alberta, there is no really land restriction in many respects. Honest to goodness, it's like, if you've ever been to the prairies, it's just like, as far as you can see, there's land. Yeah. But what there's happened, especially in Edmonton, and I don't know if you know this or not, but they should publicly announce a little more. The footprint of the city is they kind of got it the size that they want. They don't want it to keep going out.
No, they're going to go up.
They're going to start going up. So any city, the further out you go, you need more roads, you need more sewers, you need garbage trucks to go further. It just costs more money. The city of Edmonton has just said, our footprint is what we want. We don't want it to go out. We want it to densify in. We want it to go up. That's why they're approving infills like there's no tomorrow, like Pez dispensers. Like you can honestly, in 30 to 60 days, get a development for an infill project done.
We have a 40-unit property that we bought. It's on a larger piece of property, and they're like, yeah, you can get 120 units on here.
Yeah.
So we're probably going to build 120 units there.
And there is so much in Alberta, especially Edmonton, there's so many what I call underutilized complexes out there. Like, honest to goodness, you go, and I'm not trying to say we just need to cram more people in, but it's ridiculous. Like, and you've been out there, if you drive around to some of these townhome complexes, on this plot of land that you could probably put 170 units, they've got like 40.
Yep.
Right? And there's piles of those things for, I think there's we're talking big development, big plans, like stuff that you do, right? But there's so much underutilized land that's there, even without it growing out, just densifying in. Quick story, a client of mine that I'm working with in Edmonton, he sits there, he found a property, inner city, one house, large lot, bought the house for $3 and change. And people say that is the whole house with the land, everything.
That's average sale price in Edmonton, right around there. So
with a giant lot, just finished knocking down the house, putting on 3 townhomes on it
with
basement suites. He will turn that in from 1 unit into 6 rentals, and he even told me when I was there on site with him, The garages will be in the back. He could have put 3 garage suite units on 2, but he just didn't want to have that much densification. They didn't have enough parking.
Yeah.
Like he could have literally put 9 rentals on one lot. So let's go back. He put 6. He's building 6. He's going to be into it for about 1.5 million. He has an appraisal for 1.7 and change.
I know who you're talking about. I just was out with him too.
And was that Brian?
Oh no,
it was a different guy. So
different guy
there's
doing the
lots.
exact same thing. And
Yeah.
he's like, oh, here's my valuation, and it just doesn't make sense to me. It's not enough numbers. I'd rather just go buy the end units.
So that's what I do. That's
Yeah.
what I do, and that's what I actually recommend people do is just go buy the $1.75 million finished product. If you can get an MLI Select 50-year amortization on it,
95%,
95% loan to value, get that, collect the rents, and just do no work. Have somebody else do all that work for
Yeah.
you, and then just own that. But those kind of things. And when I sit there and I threw this on, I was talking to a guy from Vancouver, and he stopped me. He goes, Russ, he goes 1.75 for 6 properties, like 6 units. I go, yeah. He goes, my average house price in my neighborhood is just under 2 million for one house.
It's like when I started selling in Hamilton, and
Yeah.
people would come down and buy a 20 unit for $800,000, and I'm like, you have no business buying an apartment building, and they're like, well, my house is worth 1.2 million.
Yeah.
I have an $800,000 apartment building. What's the difference, right?
Yeah.
So.
And when I say that, we're talking nice stuff.
Oh,
Like
yeah,
brand
yeah.
new.
Oh,
Like
yeah, I know that. I
Like
get
it's
that, yeah.
brand new. Like
Yeah.
it's got warranty. It's got everything. These stuff will attract a really high-end tenant profile.
Yeah, for sure. So, okay, let's talk Alberta real quick.
I see rosy times ahead because for one thing is it's been flat, if not declining, for better part of more than a decade, and its cycle is just now starting.
I'm buying properties for less than people bought them for in 2014.
Yeah, 100%.
Which I enjoy. I agree. Like they say that Alberta's going to lead the country in economic growth
Yep.
for the next 3 to 5 years, if not more. They just obviously had the huge budget surplus
Yep.
that they announced, thanks obviously to oil revenues. And I think, short, medium, long, there's more cycles there because
Yep.
it is commodity based.
Yep.
So that's why my time frame is a 5 to 7 year window.
Yeah, I take a 10 at the most.
Yeah, 10 at most, but
Yeah.
it's I'm always out there doing the research, right? So I'm okay, my research says buy now, buy a lot, then, in 2-3 years reevaluate, see what's going on. Is it still time to buy? Is it just time to hold?
Yep.
Is it time to find a new market to go buy in? And then in 5 to 7 years, it's like, okay, are we still holding or are we selling?
Yep.
Because I love to sell into an up market.
Well,
I don't want to hold right to the end and then get caught on the
100%
other
agree.
side.
One of the things you also have to understand is capital likes efficiency.
Mm-hmm.
And people want to probably gravitate towards where their money will go further. Like, seriously, I'll give you a couple examples. A friend of mine who came out from Edmonton out to Vancouver, and he goes, I can't believe that you guys are paying $2.10 a liter for gas. Ours is $1.40.
Mm-hmm.
He went to a grocery store and he goes, I can't believe the price you guys are paying for produce and food here. And he goes, I'm staying at a hotel that back home, a brand new hotel like this would be maybe $100 a night.
Oh, cool. Just make sure. Yep, we're still going. Okay.
Yeah. He's staying at a hotel, and he said at back home would be $100 a night. He goes, I'm paying $300 for it here. Like, how do you guys afford to live out in British Columbia?
Yeah.
And then you add on liquor taxes and PST and home transfer tax. You add on all these things, and sometimes the cure for cheap prices is low prices.
Yeah.
And people are moving out there just because they want to get ahead. And,
Well, that's
and
it.
they had 34,000 people moved out, or was it 42,000? It was
It was a good number.
it was a big number in one quarter. There was like 40, and they've had 4 quarters in a row, and that's just interprovincial migration.
That's not
That's not
international.
births. That's not international. And if you actually dive into the numbers, Alberta is one of the highest immigration bringers inner of people, if that's such a word.
Well, because they have
Yeah.
the jobs out there
Yeah.
that, like, these companies apply for
Yeah.
these. Okay, we need these type of workers, and they get pushed through, and they're like, okay, these type of work, and then they go straight to Alberta,
Well,
right?
and
they
then
become my
here's,
tenants.
if you really dive into it, exactly, Ontario, BC, maybe a little bit of Quebec. They bring in what I would call the wealthier immigrant, typically tech immigrant, wealthier people. The working immigrants go to Alberta.
Yeah, blue collar.
And the blue collar, and they work, and they fill a lot of those jobs, and they rent Mark's properties.
Yeah,
Right.
100%.
So I I'm sorry if I'm a cheerleader and I got my Alberta. I don't live there, by the way. I don't. But
and
but
he's
it's-
from Saskatchewan.
I'm from
so
Saskatchewan. I live in British Columbia, but I think the time has come for Alberta to shine.
I agree.
Yeah.
All right. Any last words before we break off?
Well, no, I'm just honored. I'm honored to have this great opportunity. I just want to say, guys, if you are following Mark and been on his channel, you know the quality and the value he brings. I've watched you grow since when you first got started. I don't even recognize you anymore of the deals that you're doing, the value you bring, stuff you do. You're a true inspiration to this community, and we need more Mark Loefflers in this community.
Thank you.
We really do.
And if you guys aren't following Russell, you should be following him on Instagram. You should be following him on YouTube. He's a little bit more sporadic about videos than I am.
Once a week. I'm only once a week.
You're once a week now?
Once a week. Yeah.
Okay, you took a little time off.
I'm a little long. I'm a long form person
You are a
more
long
than
form
yes. I have to get into the shorter clips a little bit more. So.
All right, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today. We appreciate you. If you guys are going to come November 28th, we're going to have our investor meetup in Hamilton, and we'd love to see you out there. Thanks, everyone. Catch you next time.